I'm Jack and I study theatre studies, English literature and history at Ripley St Thomas.
I'm Martha and I study sociology, psychology and English language.
I guess the reason I wanted to get involved in this, because well, it says it in the title really, MyStory. I'm very interested in other people's stories, so it was lovely to go down and meet Mason and just hear what he had to say really. Especially for me, because I'm from a sort of a semi-rural community myself, so there was a lot of overlap, and I was impressed by, despite sort of the age gap, all the things that we could relate to each other.
Being interested in stuff like psychology and sociology, I'm very interested in people and the different types of lives, how different people experience life differently to what I know myself. I thought it was very interesting talking to somebody of a very different age and a very different generation to myself and finding out about how his life was, the things that he experienced, and just basically getting a different perspective on life.
Former.
Former.
I was born there.
Yeah, born there. And you spend your childhood there as well. You spend your childhood.
Yes. Quite a happy one as far as I know, yes.
Yeah.
No problems.
No. What kind of area did you live in? What was it like?
I was born on a farm, so I was brought up on a farm.
Yeah.
But I had to stay there for so long during the war because it was a reserved occupation.
Yeah.
But when it became free, that you could move where you wanted, I worked for DHE Fire Limited. They were animal feed compounders and dealers, that sort of thing. There are quite a number of branches around Lancaster area, but they've all gone now. I think, I don't know what's happened to the place. I think it was part of the office went to YMCA.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But our old farmhouse was dated 1722, so it was quite old. And a house adjoining, I think in the old days, my dad's auntie used to live there, so it was okay. What's happened to it now, I don't know. My nephews have got those places. So I think I remember that one of the old ancestors I don't think it was called the Temperance Hotel, but I don't ever remember it being as such. It might have taken people in during the summer just for light refreshments, I don't know, because we didn't live anywhere near. But I do remember they had petrol, bought their little shop in the post office. I think from what I can remember, when the post office was owned, if you lived within a certain distance, you had your own mail to collect. After that, they took it out. But when they first started, you had cycles with a little frame on front to carry the mail.
Oh, so, the postman, yeah.
So it was quite a tour around some of the countryside, because he carried over pushing his bike up some of the quite steep hills, so all weathers.
Yes, yeah.
Quite a big round. Just below the chapel there was an old smithy.
Right.
I remember him because if you wanted a horse showing, you'd go down and ask him when he could do it. Then you go back home, get your horse, wait while he did it, and go back again.
Yeah.
But he was, well, yes, I mean, we try and move, particularly in harvest and hay time, but if we were hay time, the chap next door was struggling, well, one of us would go and help him out. In harvest, well, you all had to join when it was wartime.
Yeah.
On thrashing days, you all had to share. We would send someone to another farm, and then in return would send men to us.
Send someone to you.
And in those days, you probably get extra coupons to feed them. You get the British restaurant you could get there.
All right.
So, and when you have the steam tractors, steam engines, where I live, it's quite an awkward spot to get to, so it's quite a problem getting down this quite steep hill, negotiating it and get the baler and the thrasher all lined up. And if you
You mentioned last time that you started off at Quorma School and then
Yes.
you moved to Dallas.
Dallas
Was there a
School.
reason for that, or
Huh?
was there a particular reason for moving from Quorma to
Well,
Dallas?
it was only being put of an infant school. Got to Dallas Road to about 11, went to the French school after that. And we went to the technical college on a secretarial course. Well, during the war you were supposed to plough so much land, so with so much land to turn over, to plough up. In those days as well, tractors were just coming in, so that made life a lot easier. Not that I was any good at ploughing, my cousin was. I tried it once but didn't work fully. No, it's quite a skilled job actually,
Yeah.
to keep a straight furrow. There was a farmer just across from us, and you could see him ploughing with horses, and they were absolutely dead straight. That's what it was. But we had one or two horses in those days, because no people didn't have tractors. We never got one of our own because we used to share with my uncle next farm. That made life a bit easier when you were taking root crops off like mangels, turnips. It made life a lot easier. It's good for the horses anyway.
Was it just vegetables that you grew
Sorry?
on? Was it just vegetables that you grew on the farm, or did you have animals at all? Or?
Well, we had a mix, so much cattle, so many sheep, but my dad was very keen on poultry, so we used to keep quite a number of hens, and we also used to hatch a lot of chickens. They were grown up so big, and we used to sell them to, sort of took them off our hands. They'd probably finished up in hotels or boarding houses in Morecambe. Never know, they just put them away and that was it. Well, only when I left school. Before that, no. Well, I might have done odd jobs, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we had all land milking, so we wanted enough milkers to make it worthwhile having a milking machine. So we had the old three-leg stool and a pail, a bucket, we got that's right. Yeah, more than always stand still, you were all right. Occasionally you get ticked out. I remember going to help my brother-in-law and got ticked out and a bit soaked in milk, but anyway, he had to recover and he just got on with it.
Of course, yes.
Footwear for winter there was always clogs, clog iron, so made a bit of a clacker, but they were warm and dry. There was a little Quaker meeting house, as far as I know it's still there. We used to have little rows of headstones, that's the only thing you could tell by it. I seem to remember somebody taking us and I couldn't understand why they all were so quiet. Because it was rather spirit moved, I think, that was the idea. I can't remember anything about it. So the Methodist chaplain, my uncle used to play the organ sometimes, and sometimes my sister, my cousin, and my dad used to, after be one of the lords, one of those old-fashioned organs where you had to have lower. My dad used to do that sometimes, not always. I can't think of anything else. Oh yes, we always had one from Manchester. He stayed so long and decided he didn't like it. Went home again. That was in the next farm. He stayed on quite a long time. He probably went back eventually, but I did one where it was home guard. I don't know what they did at night with my brother-in-law, but he wasn't my brother-in-law then. He used to go on home guard duty, what they did, never found out. Yeah, I was looking for something in the evening or in summer, you'd be hay timing.
Yeah.
Later on you'd be harvesting, so that was alright until the grain got late, then it was a problem because if it was lying flat you could get anything underneath it. Well, we did, we had a little single horse mowing machine that had a special attachment so you could saw lock much off, then dip it off, and then you got it all to tie by hand, which is quite a job.
Yeah.
Well, it took a back aching job, but you got used to it. The thing was, then the straws were all weak, and trying to make them stand up together like that, it was a job. If we done with a proper harvester, the butt end of the sheep sloped, so you could stab it into the ground. And you'd have a turning around, so that it turned inside out. So whether it was good, well, you're away with it.